With a memorandum of understanding in place between the U.S. and Iran, we wanted to take a look at where things stand on some of the goals the Trump administration laid out for this conflict. President Trump said the night the war began, the U.S. would, quote, raise their missile industry to the ground. The U.S. has heavily targeted Iran's missile stockpile and factories during the war, but as of Wednesday, President Trump appeared to be changing his tune.
I'm saying that if other countries have them, it's a little bit unfair for them not to have some. A ballistic missile is not the same thing as what we're talking about when we talk nuclear.
Another goal the president laid out the night the war began was regime change, telling Iranian citizens, quote, take over your government. A month into the war, Trump claimed the goal was achieved by the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And on Tuesday, he changed his perspective on the objective again, saying, quote, I never cared about regime change. A week into the war, President Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote, there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. The memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran doesn't mention anything about Iran unconditionally surrendering, and it's not clear if a longer deal will either. Last month, the president stated there wouldn't be any easing of sanctions for Iran, but in this new MOU, it says the U.S. will lift all sanctions. The Trump administration said this will only happen as long as Iran demonstrates compliance with a longer-term deal. Finally, there's the issue of what the president refers to as nuclear dust, or the enhanced uranium stockpile in Iran. In April, Trump said the U.S. will get all of the material out and specifically said it was part of the negotiations. Well, the MOU pushes a decision on how the nuclear material will be handled to the next 60 days of peace talks. President Trump added this week he doesn't think it's an urgent task.
Iran will be just fine. What's happening is that at an appropriate time, there's no rush at all. We have cameras from space on it. We know everybody that goes there, which is like nobody.
CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now. So, Sam, how difficult is it to actually get the two sides to the table for prolonged talks?
Well, it may be easy to get some people from both sides of the table for prolonged talks. The question is whether the right people are going to be at the table, Lindsay. Certainly the first hurdle is getting both Iran and the U.S. to agree to send negotiators to actually speak face-to-face. That has hit some hurdles in light of reportedly the Iranian regime's displeasure with Israel's ongoing attacks against Hezbollah in response for Hezbollah's attacks against Israel. Once the sides do meet, I do want to emphasize that getting the right experts together and getting them to stick around long enough to go over all the details necessary to actually denuclearize Iran is very difficult. Those experts are few and far between, and getting them to just commit to months of prolonged engagement, leave aside 60 days, but months of prolonged engagement is going to be quite difficult.
So this 60-day clock to come to a final peace deal is ticking. Do you foresee this delay of Vance going to Switzerland, which isn't happening as of right now? Do you see this delay as a problem? Like, what happens now behind the scenes now that it's been signed?
Well, certainly Vance not showing up in Switzerland is head-scratching based on the momentum that President Trump has claimed is behind these talks. But more important than Vance going is actual nuclear experts going. And we don't yet know if those individuals have rescheduled meetings in Switzerland at what we call technical level. So not a cabinet official or a vice president, but rather the technical experts to actually work on denuclearization and other matters. So we don't know if talks are happening behind the scenes, but the 60-day clock is literally a drop in the bucket for what it should take to hammer out a meaningful and verifiable denuclearization program for Iran.
In your view, what is the biggest threat to this preliminary agreement to the U.S. and Iran?
I think that there are two. One is that Israel and Hezbollah's ongoing trading of fire could derail this process. But more than that, I think the biggest threat is that neither side is actually meaningfully engaged in negotiations. President Trump has said that being at war was hurting the U.S. economy. Despite all the bluster, it's unlikely he wants to resume military operations, particularly as we get closer to midterms. And the Iranians have a lot of incentive, Lindsay, to just drag out these negotiations. Under the MOU, they are sailing vessels as we speak that otherwise would be selling sanctioned material, because under the MOU, sanctions are lifted on a variety of commodities, not just oil. So I think the Iranians could drag this out. Trump could stay in it just because he doesn't want to go back to war, and Iran could really benefit from what is the new normal, the new status quo.
Okay, Sam Vinograd, thank you.